Change can be difficult for someone who's already suffering.
Change is different for everyone.
Change can be a positive thing.
Change can be hard to accept.
Change can make you more resilient.
As head of religion, philosophy and ethics and head of PSHE, my experience of the pandemic challenged me to reflect on my own teaching methods. I made the following observations from teaching Buddhism during the lockdown period, and I was struck by the incredibly beautifully detailed and incisive pieces that the girls at that time produced on Anicca. They documented changes in their lives and included honest reflections about the challenges of coping when everything around you has shifted. And this inspired me to explore why they found this such a powerful and personal concept. And I questioned whether fostering a deeper understanding of the growth mindset within Buddhist thought could improve areas of pupil personal development and academic achievement. Could giving the girls the opportunity to self-heal through an academic study of self-understanding enable them to have greater resilience to cope with change and challenge? I had researched the impact of emotional intelligence in the past and constructed PSHE lessons to study it, but using the classroom to explore and observe resilience and optimism through the Global Action Research Collaborative was a unique opportunity. This was perfect method to investigate the question, how does the teaching of Buddhist thought in Year 9 religious studies strengthen girls' resilience to change? So let me tell you about our adventures. Shrewsbury High School is an independent day school for girls aged 4 to 18 in the market town of Shrewsbury, Shropshire in the UK. Shrewsbury High School has an innovative and thriving humanities department, and this research used a mixed ability class of 15 Year 9 girls aged 13 to 14. Today, teenage girls are required to embrace arguably the fastest period of transformation in human history. They're observing climate change, globalization, economic recession, empowerment through fast advancing technology, and exponential media influence. They'll spend a lifetime adapting to a whole series of major personal, social and cultural shifts around them. Will ChatGPT readjust their future job opportunities? It may be that their ability to modify their reactions and to ensure they respond to situations in a mindful manner will have a long-lasting impact for their future. Even before those great philosophers etched "Know thyself" on the temple of Apollo in Delphi, self-knowledge was already seen as the highest form of learning, a timeless, all-encompassing knowledge that has ever been part of humans' ultimate quest for meaning and purpose. Aristotle himself argued that we are all seeking human flourishing, eudaimonia, true happiness that comes from being who you are meant to be, doing what you're meant to do, and doing this to the best of your ability. And we find these philosophical notions of phronesis or practical wisdom really embedded within the core of Eastern schools of Buddhist thought. In Buddhism, impermanence is often referred to as the law of change and becoming. These two correlating principles provide balance and harmony. Just as there is a constant dissolving, there is a constant becoming. Over half of the Buddhist population in the world can be found in China, and there is a very clear linguistical structure that seeks to embrace this divergence. I suspect there is no coincidence that the Chinese word for crisis is composed of those two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. My research addressed this question. Can girls become confident in their ability to self-regulate their emotional intelligence and regard change as a more positive concept in all aspects of their lives through a rigorous exploration of the Buddhist teaching of those three marks of existence? So, what exactly did I do? When mastering a study of religion, the focus is on learning both about and learning from beliefs and practices, the gathering of knowledge, developing an understanding, and then progressing to evaluating the implications of those beliefs. So the first change I made in order to address my research question was to move from exploring mainly phenomenological knowledge to a more metaphysical emphasis within these lesson activities. And this sought to elucidate what the implications of examining Buddhist thought had on their self-understanding. demonstrating McGregor's view that beliefs can perhaps create a shared identity. As each of the 3 marks of existence were investigated, there was a structured format to this series of lessons, and these included, of course, lively class discussion, an individual task, and that was followed up by a group assignment for them to complete. And these were supported outside the lessons with a series of small group interviews. There were 3 key elements in my research project. Firstly, obviously, Anicca and the Buddha, studying how the Buddhist teaching of impermanence was encountered in the early life of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. So the question I posed to the girls was, Siddhartha did the right thing when he left his palace. Do you agree? And this was investigated through, obviously, discussion, but assessed through written responses and a bit of the use of drama. Secondly, Anicca and you, exploring how the Buddhist teaching of impermanence can be shown through their own lives. Here, pupils created a pictorial and written piece documenting the evidence of their personal change through their lifetime, and they were so beautiful. The 3 stages of analysis were 0 to 4, 5 to 10, and then 11 to where they are now. Thirdly, Anicca in the world, examining awareness of the transience of life. Pupils devised and filmed a play to demonstrate the key concept that everyone experiences change in their life, and this was addressed through storyboard, scripting, filming, and then a peer review of their final amazing filmed creations. Surveys, lesson logs, interviews and exit tickets were used to collect data, and this allowed me to polyangulate my findings. So just what did I discover? Firstly, how exploring Anicca fostered a deeper understanding of their own resilience. In the first survey, the majority of students agreed resilience was not something that you are born with, but that you could develop it. Initially, I observed potentially conditioned responses to the question, what is resilience? Like having a growth mindset. But greater clarity was to emerge, as you can see from these responses.
Resilience is
Not giving up when you fail but keep trying. The ability to recover from an event or a moment that has happened.
Resilience means being able to give yourself support and strength in a difficult situation.
Resilience is never giving up. You may fall down, but as long as you get back up, that's what resilience is. Resilience is when you keep trying, you bounce back. If something goes wrong, you don't give up. You keep trying and trying. I think resilience means the way you cope with change. It means you are confident and try and think positive for the future.
I think resilience means you develop bravery.
This development of thought can be linked chronologically with the action when they were exploring the personal test the Buddha experienced in his early life. They were writing analytically about his road to enlightenment at this time. At key points, I surveyed the girls' responses to emotions and gathered examples of how they might adapt to change. The girls were questioned on their use of coping strategies. Initially, most agreed with the statement, I often try and ignore my emotions when I'm in an unexpected situation. But during the study, there was a gradual increase in the agree and strongly agree responses to the statement, breathing slowly helps me calm down when things are not as I expect, and a more significant decrease in agree and strongly agree responses to, I get easily upset when situations around me change. So that demonstrated a very positive upward trend. I also observed that just being able to describe resilience had very limited impact, but efficacy could be seen when the students demonstrated its application. So exploring real-life situations through their role-play examples had a real powerful impact on their use of empathy. And as one student stated, I noted that when creating their films, the more effective groups were collaborative and divided roles efficiently and solved technical issues in a more patient manner. Here, emotion intelligent behavioural traits like appraisal of self-emotion, appraisal of others' emotions, and the use of emotion and regulation of emotion were clearly leading to a more successful outcome. And the exit ticket's resilience rating had a definite positive spike at the end of this particular lesson. I also noticed that a few girls, when faced with a more complex task, found it challenging to behave consistently with resilience. So when devising their films, one group were adamant that they didn't want to show their piece to the class. But this was balanced by one student who chose a very different group dynamic to suit the task and went across the room and asked to join another group of girls. And her response at the end of the task was, so perhaps our exploration of resilience enabled her to feel emotionally safe whilst being challenged. So secondly, I discovered that how reflecting on change in their own life strengthened their understanding of Anicca. Investigating the Buddhist teaching of continuous change encouraged all the girls to assess, analyse and evaluate examples of impermanence in their own lives. So setting this task as plotting their lives at the centre of my research was a powerful means of documenting how they all saw change in themselves. Their visual and written interpretations of the teachings of Anicca was incisive and beautiful. The girls aligned their ideas empathetically with how the Buddha's early life included difficult choices and challenges. Most students included reflection upon the COVID-19 lockdowns as part of their work and how not knowing affected them. They outlined moments of tragedy, death of parents or pets. They explored reactions to siblings starting different schools or going to university, friends becoming enemies, enemies becoming friends, parental breakups, illness of family members, and there were tangible examples of real personal change. I found it curious to note that there were no references to puberty. The girls didn't seem to consider these developments as noteworthy, suggesting perhaps they have normalised the hormonal and physical changes that of course they all experienced. My third and final finding centred around the fact that teaching impermanence enhanced the girls' development of optimistic thinking patterns. Through interviews and lesson logs, I noted an increased ability to demonstrate the nature of change. The girls were able to incorporate the Buddhist teaching that it's actually more skillful to respond to situations rather than just react. The Buddha taught that it can be beneficial for humans to stay focused in the moment, and my findings supported that the students saw validity in this. And so to my conclusions. The aim of my research was to embed understanding of Anicca and to explore the possibilities of girls to embrace the concept of change in their own lives and consequently feel more resilient and more optimistic. And they clearly did, judging from these comments. My concluding survey found that 2/3 of the students either agreed or strongly agreed with the prompt, I can easily accept that life is unpredictable now that I've studied Anicca. The results from this research reveal that by studying the Buddhist teachings of the 3 marks of existence, teenage girls can see change as a positive part of life. They demonstrate how these philosophies influence their development and lead to improved self-regulation. My findings also emphasise the importance of broadening how pupils explore substantive content in religious studies through their ways of knowing. And now a few reflections. Planning to teach is not teaching. Thinking about teaching is not teaching. Talking about teaching is not teaching. Teaching is teaching. However, action research in the classroom is incredibly valuable. I would recommend it as a wholly rewarding and fascinating experience. To take time to question, to take time to assess, and to challenge ourselves to change our practice is vital as we continue to redress, reform and now reset girls' education to ensure they have a secure place in the world. I was very fortunate to have such a fantastic group of girls to work with. There were some unforgettable moments of incredible honesty as they openly shared their feelings and experiences. Read more about these in my final research document. Thank you so much, girls.